One of the biggest stories astrologically of 2022 is the impending Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction. All three of them can join each other and in the same degree in Taurus, Taurus 19 or 18 degrees Taurus. It's huge, it's coming up. In this video, I'm going to dive into an aspect of it that I think can help us understand the energetic and contextualize this moment within a broader context. So yeah, here it is, the big moment, the big story, the big enchilada, as we say down where I'm from in Texas. We have one of the most thought about and anticipated transits of 2022. So when in 22 are these transits happening? Let's just walk through it again. Central European time, 31 July. We're talking 10 days out from now. You have Uranus conjoining the North Node. Under 24 hours later, so 22 hours later, Mars conjoins the North Node. That's 1 August around 8 or 20:04 in Central Europe. Then Mars conjoins Uranus 5 hours later, 6 hours later, 2 August in Central Europe, really early in the morning at 1:53 a.m. And so that's the order of the events of how this is going to go down. It's really over there like a 2-day period or less than 2-day period where it's a 1, 2, 3 hit Mars-Uranus North Node activation. The first thing I want to do is just come right out and give you the larger kind of structure of how my research went. I asked the ephemeris, when did Uranus and the North Node conjoin in Taurus before? When did that happen before? Because those are the two planetary points that are the longest moving. So I started there. When did they conjoin in Taurus? I put that into my software, and then I asked, well, when was Mars in Taurus at the same time? It's not surprising, but it does not happen very often. The last time this happened was only twice, and it was in the era before the Common Era. Is that what the BC stands for these days? Before Christ, before the Common Era. And there's only two of them. It's 324 BC and 156 BC. So in 156 BC, when this happened, it was in Taurus 14 and Taurus 15, or 13 degrees and 14 degrees Taurus. So a little farther away from where it happens in 2022. 324 BC is the best one to use here as a comparison, because in 324 BC, one happens in the same degree, and then two of them happen in the degree just before. We're going to analyze this historical moment from way back when and see if we can find some resonance. Anytime you have a 1 degree, that's the focus in any transit or any research you're doing, you can always pull up the Sabian symbols to maybe get an additional sort of synchronistic or metaphysical inspiration around the meaning of a symbol. These are a contemporary astrological invention or innovation, you might say. A psychic channeled these symbols, and working with an astrologer named Mark Edmund Jones. Dane Ruddier wrote a lot about these symbols. I love using them. I think they're a nice layer of meaning to add. But this one's quite pertinent for this video today. Taurus 19, a newly formed continent. So let's keep that in mind as we continue through the video. Next thing I want to do is just break down each of these energies separately. What is Mars? What is Uranus? What is the North Node? To get a sense of the symbolic meaning of the dynamic before we dive into anything else. And as I like to do, we're going to use books. So let's start with the slowest moving planet first, and that would be Uranus. I'm going to use the book Cosmos and Psyche, probably the seminal work on outer planets and mundane astrology over the last 30 years. Dr. Richard Tarnas, genius, eloquent, articulate. He writes, the unanimous consensus among astrologers is that the planet Uranus is empirically associated with the principle of change, rebellion, freedom, liberation, reform, revolution, and the unexpected breakup of structures with sudden surprises, revelations, and awakenings, lightning-like flashes of insight. And so what I want to focus on here is this idea of lightning flash insight, quick changes of unexpected realization that then change life, that change up the moments that we inhabit. Next, let's look at the North Node, or Rahu as it's known in the Vedic astrological systems. For this, I'm going to go to The Lunar Nodes, Crisis and Redemption, a book by Camilla Sutton. I love her work. She's a contemporary Vedic astrologer on YouTube. You can find her work. She's got some great books. She writes of Rahu, meet Mr. Ambition. Rahu and ambition go hand in hand. He recognizes no obstacles in his way. So there's this sense of Rahu of more, of wanting more, of expansion, and of desire to sort of make things happen, to grow, and to go out into the world and sort of take one's portion of reality. Then finally we'll come to, again, Vedius Valens, Hellenistic astrologer, writes about the planets, maybe the most directly of all Hellenistic astrologers. Again, I'm going to go to Riley, Professor Riley, and his translation of Valens. You can find it free. Any search engine, just type in Vedius Valens Riley. It'll be one of the first 2 links. And there's this awesome paragraph in Valens, right in the first chapter, second page, where he concludes his opening paragraphs of the significations of the planets. And then he gives a quick summary of each of the planets. And of Mars, he says, Mars becomes the ruler of action and effort. And so we just summarized, we've got Mars, action and effort. So like the force, the decision to do and act and break away. We've got Uranus, these sudden breakthroughs and surprises. And then we have the North Node, ambition. Who could this be? What could this be about? Well, when you pull up the year 324 BC in Wikipedia, just as a starting place, the only thing that it's about, or the major thing that comes up, is the Macedonian Empire. This was during Alexander the Great's life. Doesn't it fit perfectly, right? Alexander, the ambition, the force of Mars, the sudden breakthrough component of Alexander's life. He did things no one else could do or thought to do. Now our astrological clock comes around to a very similar conjunction to when Alexander was conquering. This was the second to last year of his life when this conjunction happened. And though the event I want to use as the major metaphor for this transit did not happen, they say, in 324 BC, it happened a few years earlier, it still encapsulates perfectly those 3 energies that we just laid out, and that is the event of the Gordian knot. So Alexander's armies are marching into Anatolia, and he comes to this town, Phrygia. I think that's how you say it. But they have a legend where there's this knot, it's wound so tightly, anybody who can untie it will rule all of Asia. And Alexander comes, and in this flash, this Uranian flash of brilliance, pulls out his sword, Mars, and then slices the knot open. And everybody's like, oh, wow, this breakthrough of insight, he's cut the knot. And then his ambition continues. So it's the perfect encapsulation of a triple conjunction in Taurus, right? The earth sign. Venus is a planet of war ruling Taurus. So you've got the kind of Taurian warlike breakthroughs that are perfect for a symbol or a metaphor of the moment we're in. You might think about in your life what breakthroughs, what flashes that you can rely on or try to engender, knowing this, to move yourself forward where you want to go. Be open to unexpected breakthroughs, doing things they said you couldn't do. You might have an ability to do something that is fresh and that the rules don't say you can't do, and that you can do it anyway, or that in spite of the rules, you can effectuate your ambition vis-a-vis a moment of genius or insight. And so there's the interpersonal side of using this metaphor in our lives, right? Trying to embody this moment. It's the opportunity that can come in a moment like this. And I know a lot of astrologers have been afraid about it. I mean, I've probably contributed to some of that, partially because Saturn is squaring. And these are very dynamic energies that can force and push us into change. And this is the kind of thing that Alexander was going through. Think about it. You arrive to a foreign land, and if you can't tie the knot, maybe you lose the battle. And this insight is produced out of the pressure. And that's what I want you to think about in terms of a square and an opposition. Remember, 2022, Saturn squares Mars and the opposition between the nodal axis, right? So that square, though, between Saturn and Mars, Saturn and Uranus, it's operative in the sky, Saturn and the nodes. I think it's good to rest when dynamic activation happens and not take on too much, because let the dynamism come to you and push you how it's going to push you, rather than, not being aware of it at all and maybe pushing out too far. But some people aren't able to be in a place of rest right now. They just haven't planned that, or life just takes on its own power and forces us into the dynamism. This is a debate, a sort of an ontological or a sort of nature of reality debate that happens with astrologers. Can we even avoid transits? Can we plan around them or not? The main thing here is that what are you being pushed to embrace in terms of a breakthrough? Maybe that will happen for you. Now, the last thing I want to do in the video is come to some of the mundane applications in our present reality. And the only thing that I could think of was this thing called the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Because the major change, what has colonized the whole world? It's the internet. It's the digital connectivity. It's the technological advancements that have come so quick and so fast, even in my lifetime. They're taking over our world. Professor Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, he has a book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. On their website, here's what they say. Previous industrial revolutions liberated humankind from animal power, made mass production possible, and brought digital capabilities to billions of people. The fourth industrial revolution is, however, fundamentally different. It is characterized by a range of new technologies that are fusing the physical, digital, and biological worlds, impacting all disciplines, economies, and industries, and even challenging ideas about what it means to be human. So you think about Alexander the Great colonizing a large swath of the known world, and the intermixing of the cultures that produced all of the grandeur of the Hellenistic period. You've got astrology was produced, the kind of astrology that is some of the foundation of how I practice. You have all sorts of philosophical, scientific breakthrough. I mean, this was a period where cultures merge and the whole reality's changed. I'm directly linked to Alexander's conquest. So in our reality, what is similar? What's taking over that might change the whole course of human destiny? And this is the one thing that I think matches. Changing what it means to be human, right? The biological and the digital merging. This is at least the plan for Klaus Schwab and people in the World Economic Forum. Here's another thing from their website: ubiquitous mobile supercomputing, intelligent robots, self-driving cars, neurotechnological brain enhancements, genetic editing. The evidence of dramatic change is all around us and happening at exponential speed. And so there it is. I mean, the World Economic Forum, it partners with Fortune 500, right? The global superclass, the most powerful corporations in the world have this kind of vision, that they will sort of change our reality, the kind of merger of robotics and humanity and digitization. Now, I'm not necessarily, there's a lot that's been written about this. I think where technology is advancing and we have to retain spirit as we enter into a period where the spirit could potentially be threatened by the tech. Right? Technique kind of overriding human. But there's real upsides to the technology. I'm able to record a video and send it out to the whole world because of this technology. I can talk to friends or anybody on Zoom anywhere in the world, crystal clear. So there's real promise and peril. Our job is to sort of move moment to moment and use our uranium breakthroughs to sort of navigate within these larger contexts. Final thing I'll just show you, here's the chart of the World Economic Forum. It was founded in Geneva, Switzerland, 24 January 1971. This is set for 12 noon. But look where Saturn is. The Saturn in this chart is 15 degrees Taurus, so very close, only 3 degrees over from where this Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction takes place. And so isn't that Sabian symbol perfect? A new continent being formed. Alexander taking over the world. In the current context, the sort of advancement of these technologies that may change humanity. So that's the video. Get optimistic about this transit. Let it push you into insight and brilliance, that out of necessity you may be forced to have a breakthrough in your personal life. And be aware that we're navigating major changes in the world context. Talk soon. Take care.